Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Sister, since that's what people think the name of the show is anyway. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing fine, sister. Girl, just reading about the history of this ban, this abortion ban. Whew.
Well, they trying to take y'all back to territory days, honey. I don't know what they doing back down there in Arizona, but Lord Jesus, be a fence and a hedge of protection for any woman in that state that may find themselves in need of medical health care as is related to their reproductive health. Hey Jody, how you doing? Thanks for
Hey,
tuning
Jody.
us tonight. We are excited to have you. And tonight we're going to be talking about the eclipse effect, when things go dark. Okay. So in typical Hey Sister fashion, we ask that you like, follow, share, subscribe. Drop the link to this, drop the YouTube link, Facebook link, drop it on to your friends. Send it to somebody, the YouTube link in the text, so they can just start watching right now. We want to bring as many people into the conversation this evening. And that's where you join the conversation in the comments. That's where all the action takes place during the show, after the show, whether you're watching it in a replay or not. And of course, you can never miss the episode because we have everything on our website. So please subscribe to our website, heysister.com, and be a part of our Hey Sister family. So anybody that just joined, you're watching Hey Sister live. It is Sunday, April 14th, 2024. And last Monday.
Wait, sister, before you jump in, I just want to say something real quick. Because you every episode you say like, follow, share, subscribe, and you're always encouraging people to to follow our to go to our website, follow us on YouTube, etc. And I just want to continue to reiterate that we have seen a lot lately where we've talked about things on Hey Sister, and I ain't saying that everybody is watching Hey Sister, because clearly they ain't, because we ain't seeing the numbers. But it is often very coincidental. When we talk about certain topics, we hear about it on other topics and other shows. And I'm not even talking about like the stuff that's all on the news or what have you. Mm-hmm. I just saw something on Earn Your Leisure, which I listen to their podcast often. And the sister was talking about the wigs and the detriment and the damage being done to the hair and everything. And I was like, yeah, we talked about this on Hey Sister. And I tagged our experts and stuff like that. So I feel like I feel strongly we can put Hey Sister up against any of these other shows, and we're doing it with zero budget, and anything that we built has been based on our own income, our own finances. So I'm just gonna say it again, y'all. When it comes to just our good sis Jody is always here, always repping, always checking us out. We got a few sisters and misters that's always going hard for us in the paint. But I really want to encourage people, please spread the word about Hey Sister, because I feel strongly we can put this up against many of these other podcasts where their voices are being amplified, and maybe all of them shouldn't be. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, sorry, get back. Last Monday.
Well, so thank you, Jody, because this is where she gets her information, and we like to provide you with information and tools and links and all the things so you can go and do some research. But I don't feel we could put our show up against other shows. I have watched some of these other things on podcasts or some of the things that show up in the feed, and I don't feel that way. That's a fact. How about that? But that moving right along. So on last Monday, or Monday that just passed us, was we had a lunar solar eclipse, not a lunar eclipse, but a solar eclipse. It was one that there was a large. No, it was a solar eclipse because the moon covered the sun. So solar.
But eclipse. It was total. It was a total one. It wasn't one of the partial guys.
Yes, it was a total eclipse. There was path of totality. Um, that covered much of the U.S., great parts all from Mexico all the way up until like I think Maine area.
It
Like
went up to Canada. It was a North American.
yeah, places that were in had the path of totality. Here in Florida, we had about 60-ish% totality. Had my glasses, went outside and was checking it out. But you can sense, you can feel the 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 day. Like there was like a for me like a calmness that was coming over the day as it just kind of the light started to dim, and you know that it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but it just has this dim look and feel outside. And it's piqued my interest because I saw the eclipse here again in 2017, and we had about the same, about a 60% here in Florida. I think I want to go experience a totality. I want to travel to experience totality. They happen at different points in the world, and there are people who are eclipse chasers.
Right.
Um, but I just think it's fascinating that you are sitting there and it becomes totally dark outside. Like the sun is shining and it becomes totally dark. So you can find they happen around the world all the time, and we have various solar and lunar eclipse at varying points in time, which I think is also super fascinating. But I think about the ancestors, and I think about people who were just outside living and doing whatever, and then it started getting dark outside, and then it was pitch black outside. Like, what were they thinking?
Well, you know what? They were probably thinking what many of us don't have to think about because science has already kind of explained it. I'm sure they was like, Jesus is coming back right about now. What is going on? But we have the science. They gave us the explanations days in advance, weeks in advance, months in advance. Hotel room prices and flights were increased in the path near the path of totality. We didn't really have to guess, but there was still some folks just insisted that Jesus was returning that day. Um I hope that didn't happen, because if so, I didn't
Well,
get
it
caught.
happened for somebody that day. I'm not.
What? No, but no, I'm just saying. Listen. I hope I wasn't a part of the left behind. That's all. I keep praying.
Ah,
But nah, I thought it was fascinating as well. Rob and I went outside. Oh, little Robert, he gave me some glasses to put on. I don't know. We probably damaged our eyes all kind of ways, but we saw it and we had the experience. So, in 20 years, if we don't become an eclipse chaser like yourself, in 20 years, hopefully we'll get the right glasses, or we'll make our cereal box. That's one thing I realized. Like, dang, I don't even eat cereal no more, so I couldn't even pull off a cereal box viewer.
well, I because I listen to NPR still. I listened to a broadcast, and they were talking about the eclipse, and she talked about taking a colander and just like if you have your back away from the sun and put hold the colander there, and it shows you the crescent. And I was like, and that worked for me because I was like, oh,
Did it? Because I was out there looking stupid with the colander. I can tell you that much.
no, it was all little crescents, and as it got, the crescent got bigger or smaller based on where the movement was. Yeah,
Or maybe
because
we did see it. We just didn't know. We were just looking like, I thought it was, girl, listen, I was out there with the colander too. I don't know. But I did. Now that you said, maybe I did see the little crescents in the colander, but I was looking for something to go through the colander and hit the sidewalk in a way that I could see the pattern more clearly.
that was what you were seeing, because they were crescents, because the colander holes are round.
Yeah, but I didn't see it on the sidewalk. That's
Oh,
what
you
I
didn't see it on the pavement? Oh, yeah, it was there for sure. At least at least on mine.
Well, you did it.
Anyway, I know we going way on, but the next one, and I think I was looking at it, 2026. You can go to Russia, which I ain't going.
No,
Greenland, Iceland, and Spain are where there'll be the totality.
we can talk about some other places, but definitely not Russia.
Yes, in 20, I mean, because yeah, I was like, oh, we could go up and see the Northern Lights and do some things. That might be nice. In 2027, you will in August 2027, Spain, Gibraltar, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Somalia, British Indian Ocean territory. So, and
No,
it's
Morocco was one of my things. You know, that'll be my big 50. So
now, and that one is going to be a longer one because it'll be 6 minutes. The expected is 6 minutes and 23 seconds, and then in 2028, Christmas Islands, Australia, and New Zealand. So we got some options, child, to go see the next eclipses. I'm saying.
I agree. Well, it was great that we all could rally around science. The only thing that kind of disappointed me was I was talking to our mom, and she was like, the kids couldn't be outside during the eclipse, and I was literally like, WTF. They could not be outside during the eclipse. Like, this was a perfect opportunity to teach them some science, to teach some arts and craft. They could have made the viewfinders or the viewers. What are we doing? I don't want to dump on public education, but I'm like, that talk about a missed opportunity.
Let's not go there because
We won't go there. That just dampened my spirit because I'm looking at because we saw it and then we went walking afterwards and we saw some kids in our park that's by our house. 2 black kids. Now, first of all, we don't see a lot of black kids around these parts, but we saw 2 black kids and they had their little glasses, you know, that they had been looking. And one of the little boys, I was like, "Did you see it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's over now." And I was like, look at this baby out here with his basketball and watching the eclipse. You know, perfect opportunity. We got to do better. But
yeah, well, tonight we're talking about the eclipse effect and when things go dark. And so, next up, we're gonna talk about the Departed. The juice isn't loose anymore.
No, the juice is not loose.
And this was an interesting topic as I, kind of listened to different news stories and what have you. So one, Mr. OJ Simpson, who was Renthal James Simpson, who had a storied football career, who was the face of Hertz. Because I remember running through the airport Hertz commercials. I remember ABC Wide World of Sports. That's the OJ that I remember until the Broncos scene, which was 1994. When was the trial?
95.
Yeah. Okay. So 1994.
I think it was June 1994 to be exact.
Yeah. That long chase of a Bronco scene. So I don't know. Do y'all remember where you were when the Bronco chase and when the verdict came down? I definitely remember when the verdict from the murder trial came down. I was in a summer program at Tulane. I was walking on Tulane Avenue. That Burger King don't exist no more. Tulane had a clinic right there. And I was walking past, going back to the dorm where I was staying at, and I could see the reactions on the news, and all I was doing was just shaking my head because I was like, oh well. And I think I felt that all well because, as many of you, if you're viewers of Hey Sister, or you know us personally, or any of our story, we had an uncle who was convicted of a sex crime and spent 19 years in prison before his exoneration. And I listened to the Clay Canes show on a regular basis on Sirius XM, and he has an exonerated series. And knowing that the state of Louisiana has the most, especially New Orleans, Louisiana specifically, has the most people who have been exonerated through the Innocence Project. When that verdict came down, and this is again 1995, I was like, too bad, so sad, because we know both sides of the justice system. And he went on to clown at the fool out here in these streets. And ultimately was arrested and went to jail for stealing back memorabilia of his that was stolen from him, and then kind of lived the rest of his days in obscurity here in the state of Florida.
It sounds like in Nevada as well, because
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of connection to Nevada.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, he was a huge looming figure all through the 70s and 80s as we were growing up. And then in his 40s, so you got to think about it, he was maybe 46 years old when that happened, how his just everything else turned. And nobody wants to see somebody die of cancer or deal with cancer, but it is hopefully that dark chapter that we finally, now that he has transitioned, that people can just let it rest, you know?
No, it hasn't. I will say that was my first reaction when I heard the news was, okay, so now we got to hear about this again. Like we're going to have to, because the one thing about the media, like even no matter how villainous the person is, it seems that we can tear people to pieces when they're alive, but when they're dead, as soon as they die, we're grabbing at crumbs to tell this very complicated story, but being respectful to the dead, I guess. And I was like, okay, so we're gonna hear all of this regurgitated, and let's face it, that was a tough, for me at least, graduating high school, being in college during the time of the trial, and then the verdict. It was a strange period. Like to me, I liken it to when Trump ran for office. All of a sudden, people that you thought you rocked with or you thought were cool, you like, oh, tell me how you really feel. I guess I see a different side. And like you said, with us having the experiences that we've had with the justice system, and I can't remember who said it. It might have been, I've heard, I think Al Sharpton said before, like when Johnny Cochran died, like we weren't cheering for OJ, we were cheering for Johnny Cochran. Or I think when, it was this collective feeling of, wow, now you see it's not cool. It's not cool when somebody is wrong and they commit a crime and they get off scot free. And we've been saying this for millennia now. So
Mm.
I just, look, it was he, to your point, when I was growing up, saw him on the airplane movies, saw him on the Hertz commercial.
Roots, baby. At the beginning of Roots, OJ is in there. Yes, you better go back and watch Roots.
Yeah, that's not what I associate him with, but sure.
I do.
But I'm telling you what I associated with him with, and then it felt like I just didn't really. I don't know, wouldn't, like you said, ABC Wide World of Sports, but for a while there, just didn't hear anything. And then after Ronald Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson were killed, then it was like he was thrust back into our lives on a near daily basis, and it was a challenging time. So hopefully his soul is at rest. At the end of the day, he still was somebody's parent.
He
And
was somebody's child. He was
it,
somebody's
yeah,
parent. He probably was somebody's grandparent. Um,
possible.
at 76 years that he was here on this earth. It is complicated. That's the thing.
It
Human
is.
beings are complicated. People still, as you said, they laud the founding fathers, right? And they were complicated, and some of them were treacherous beings as well, right?
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
so
Richard Nixon. When he died, folks were finding ways to laud him still, and it was like, no, I don't think he had that much that was laudable. But at the end of the day, look,
we people are complicated and messy and ugly and all that. And I think that it is fair to look at people through the fullness of their life story and journey. But in terms of and I think about Black women, I blame him for bringing the word Kardashian into our vocabulary.
yeah, I mean, true. But I'm sure they blame him more for the there was already, I guess, enough strife in their household, and I'm sure that that didn't add.
I know that's that girl daddy, but I ain't going to look. He was innocent. He was a legend. R.I.P. to OJ. Hey, I'm gonna say this: what I know about human beings, nobody is innocent. It's about what you can prove in a court
True.
of law. And I'm gonna tell you, the prosecution did not do a good job, and Johnny Cochran and what's his name, Bailey, F. Scott Bailey, uh, Robert Kardashian. They did a masterful job, but really the ringleader behind that masterful job was Johnny Cochran.
Well, and also let's be clear, and this is what people don't want to own up to, because here's the issue: the smoking gun was Mark Furman,
Mark Furman.
his racist comments. And when you sat up there and said you weren't a racist, and they went and found the evidence, that was the nail in the coffin. I don't even think it was about the gloves, obviously. So
But why don't people understand that if you in the court, it's just like when you're talking to your parents, at least me, or when I mean Jody, you work in HR. If I'm gonna sit down with you and I ask you a question, you better know I already have the evidence. So why you won't sit up there and lie? But that's where that hubris and that arrogance come in. And that too was part of what happened and why they were sloppy. Thank you. When I'm sitting down and talking to you, when I've had investigations with employees, if I'm asking you a question, you best believe I already know the answer. So you might as well fess up with the truth and be honest, because you ain't getting away and ain't getting around it. And so
well,
when they said that and asked Mark Furman, but he wanted to try to be cute and fancy and split infinitives and all the things and words and use different meanings. He was a mess.
well,
Yeah, I'm asking because I already know. Make it easy. Yes, make it easy on yourself so I can let you go peacefully and with some grace.
yep.
But again, when you think about that time, now I know Sean said he's innocent. I'm gonna say this. I never thought that he acted alone.
Well, we know you felt like it was his son from the beginning, and
Straight up.
and listen, I mean,
Because he
again,
was not, as you 46 right now. You know you ain't that agile. Let's stop it. You ain't got that
no,
agility.
I'm not gonna say I'm not agile, but I'm gonna say this: I do not specialize in knowing how to hit the jugular or hit certain.
Allegedly. Oh, that's right. Allegedly. Let me not
Oh
call
yeah,
that boy out
yeah.
his name.
So she,
Allegedly.
yes,
But I
allegedly, you.
always felt that the son was a part and that he was there. OJ was definitely there too, but the son I think was a part. Somebody else was a part because that it was too much for one person to have done alone. Always say allegedly, 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 allegedly. That's always been my thought. But nonetheless,
not allegedly, based on the cuts, I know at my 46 years of life, I don't know that much about the human anatomy.
And they have no samurai swords where you were like,
right. I don't know enough about the human anatomy to know exactly how to hit and cut and make certain that it's done. So, yeah.
The eclipse.
Okay. Moving right along.
Moving right
Rest
along.
in peace, OJ.
Another total eclipse. Grand opening, grand closing on the Golden Bachelor.
Girl, now this is what I'm upset about. Okay. This is what I'm upset about. I say here, I gave Gary them a chance. Okay. Mm-hmm. I listened to him crying every dang week. And I wonder, when I saw that wedding in January, I was like, I wonder if they have to sign a contract, if it was required. If they were like, these old people can't get to the end and be like, maybe not. How y'all talking about? You know what? Do we got the clips of the video?
Come on, show the clip.
Let's go to the video, then I'm going to jump into it.
Okay.
Now with the Golden Bachelor, Gary Turner and his wife, Teresa Nist. Millions of Americans watched them fall in love and get married on live TV back in January. And Juju Chang sat down with the couple who have a personal update to share. Good morning, Juju.
Good morning, Rebecca. And they certainly do. I have to say, both Carrie and Teresa say they are really nervous about how fans will react to their news.
Should be.
Cheered them on as they bonded over widowhood and looking for love in their 70s. So
in all the wrong places.
They have what can perhaps best be described as a bombshell. It's been a couple months since your wedding, and you have some news to share.
We have received so much love and support from so many people who watched The Golden Bachelor, and I don't think we can tell you how many people told us that it gave them so much hope. We want none of that to change for anybody.
Teresa and I have had a number of heart-to-heart conversations, and we've looked closely at our situation, our living situation, and so forth. And we've kind of come to the conclusion mutually that it's probably time for us to dissolve our marriage.
Get a divorce.
Y'all ain't even need to sign the paper.
3 months after getting married.
Yes.
You could imagine what the reaction is going to be. I'm sure you've already imagined what the reaction is going to be.
Yeah.
It was just January when America's first golden couple, Gary Turner and Teresa Nist, professed.
Listen.
I'm dropping the lyrics right now in here. And actually, it's Johnny Lee. I thought it was George Strait. The man name is Johnny Lee. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking for love in too many faces. Searching the eyes. Come on. Hoping to find a friend and a lover.
Listen. I invested in the Golden Bachelor. And yes, it turned out to be just every bit of disgusting as the real Bachelor after a while. But I invested.
We committed.
We wanted to see something different. And we did. We see people, just because you get older, just because your spouses pass away, it doesn't mean that you don't still want affection and attention and love and all of these things. However, 3 months. First of all, y'all didn't get married on January 1st. So I just, y'all can call that an annulment, because I don't even feel like y'all been married long enough for it to be a legal divorce.
And they never lived in the same place.
But what? Okay, so here's my thing. And listen, I ain't never been married. People in the comments who've been married, please talk to me. If you meet somebody and y'all don't live in the same place. Y'all in your 70s. You're in your 70s. Your love of your life, who you had your kids with, you raised your family, has gone on to glory.
Mm-hmm.
You're in your 70s. You meet somebody else. They live in one state. You live in another state. At what point does that become a problem for you? I just want somebody to tell me.
I still live with my husband now.
Right, because that's your first love. That's your one you raising your kids with. If he should go to glory, you meet somebody else and he live in another state, why would you? Well, I'm not dating. Listen, I could date somebody in another state because at that point, we just buddies anyway. We just buddies till we die. Like that's what we are. I could come and kick it in your state. You could come and kick it in my state. We can have my family can come to you for Thanksgiving. Your family could come to me for Thanksgiving. Like y'all knew that going into the situation. Y'all didn't live in the same state.
Clearly, those conversations were not had.
Kitty, that conversation was had when the application was filled out. They ask you where you live today. It said I live in ABC state. He live in XYZ state. You knew y'all didn't live in the same state. So you mean to tell me in 3 months? I call BS too, cousin. 3 months, and now at your big age, living in a different state from this person that you met and only dated for a month anyway is a problem. Boy, if y'all don't get off.
And they didn't even date for a month because the show was taped in what? 3 weeks?
No, it was taped in a month, but that's what I'm saying. And he was dating other people. So again, y'all buddies at this point.
Was looking for love in too many faces.
I'm just saying, girl, y'all could have saved us this drama of a wedding, or y'all could have just stayed married, stayed buddies. But see, somebody said they don't want somebody to get their money after they die. That's got to be it. Because it ain't this ain't about no house living in 2 different states. It can't be. Y'all knew that going in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, at 70-something years old, I guess maybe.
But again, those are questions that should have been talked about with their accountant and their retirement plans before they said I do, before they even made that arrangement. They should have had the prenuptial agreement and all that worked out. If they're concerned about what their children would get or what have you, that should have been worked out. Well, them children had something to say. Maybe them children had something to say, but that should have all been worked out before they did this whole.
Because if you get a divorce, you still gotta pay. So that's dumb. That's just dumb. So,
it's probably not. It's probably in the contract with ABC that if they did the wedding, if they got a divorce, that ABC is paying for it all. And another bad decision by the Walt Disney Company. How about
that? I mean, I guess it's not that bad of a decision. It was a ratings juggernaut for them in the Bachelor series. It provided a new twist. I'm sure we'll get a Golden Bachelorette soon, and it'll continue to go on.
You know what? I think they might not. This might kill the prospects of having a Golden Bachelorette.
I don't know. The first Bachelor, was it the first Bachelor or Bachelorette? This was for Fame, Celebrity, and I agree, which is so disheartening at 70-something years old that y'all still trying to be famous and that's unfortunate.
He wanted the other woman anyway.
Yeah, he wanted that lady who left because she said she was going with her family.
Yeah.
At that time. Said, I'm sorry, I gotta be out. My daughter needs me. Deuces. That's how you do it. But again, the application had already stated that you live in a different state. Gary and Teresa, get out of my face.
Child, like you said.
We came on here, we just told all these people about all 10 of y'all about the Golden Bachelor, and now these fools didn't get
and we talked about it because we talked about it, but total eclipse. Gone
Yes.
dark. How about that? Don't want to see her here, there, no hide no more. But I will say, if in 3 months he back with one of them other women, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised either. I
So,
wouldn't be surprised if he was already with one of the other women.
and that right.
That's why we're getting a divorce.
Yeah, somebody who was willing to go on to that.
Probably number 2, because she was still crying and she was looking stupid at the wedding. She was sitting up there like, so
Yeah.
okay. I'm moving on.
Total eclipse on Chick-fil-A foolery. Y'all see my face. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one, sister. I'm gonna just drink my water and mind my business.
Well, I would like to say that I think Lene Bonny did a wonderful job on her Instagram page, breaking it all down. One, Mr. Donald John Trump went to Atlanta, Georgia, for a fundraiser in the ritzy neighborhood of Buckhead. And as he,
and how much was it per person to attend that event?
For a couple, it was $6,600 per couple, so roughly $3,300 per person. And although I don't know if you could go as a single, maybe you had to go as a couple. And ultimately, or you could pay $250,000 if you wanted to be a part of the welcome. And Mr. Trump, I guess, landed at Hartsville International Airport and decided to take the scenic route and stop at a Chick-fil-A outside of the AUC or the Atlanta University Center. And as always, he had some props of some Blacks who were waiting with bated breath to see.
They went to Chick-fil-A at 9:30 that morning and sat there and waited.
And waited for their milkshakes and sandwiches.
Because Donald said, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. That's what he said. His milkshake brought them to the yard, baby. They came off the yard.
His milkshakes took them off the yard. Because they
took them off the yard, baby. Yes.
And
that's right, grinning and skinning and grinning, as they say.
This is one of the times where I'm like,
jiving.
Okay, my fellow HBCUers, listen. I can't tell people who to vote for. I can't tell them what to believe, but I can certainly say that this woman who organized it or helped organize it, she made a comment and it said, everybody got together at around 9:30 in the morning and walked on over to the Chick-fil-A. And then we sat there and waited until the president showed up. Her last name is Montgomery. I forgot her first name. Who can be seen, she's the one who can be seen embracing the former president in multiple viral videos. Quote, it's really disheartening to see that the media makes it seem like we just stumbled into a Chick-fil-A and he bought us milkshakes, end quote. Girl, that's not what's disheartening. That ain't what's disheartening. You know what's disheartening? What's disheartening, sis? Let me be completely honest with you. What's disheartening is you think that some Chick-fil-A and some milkshakes was worth your time. What's disheartening is that this man was going to an event.
The best thing on the menu is the lemonade. The lemonade. The milkshake.
This man was going to an event that was $6,600 per person. So A, I'm pretty sure the menu was not Chick-fil-A. And B, he didn't think to invite y'all to that. He didn't think to invite y'all over to Buckhead where they're trying to secede from the city of Atlanta because of quote unquote crime. He didn't think to say, why don't y'all be my special guests at this event so we can talk about real ways to connect with young Black conservatives. He didn't do that. He
Yeah,
gave
why don't y'all even come and be volunteers
tears.
or be paid volunteers or be a part of my campaign and let me put you on staff because your organization is connecting with the community, right? Because your organization is conserve the culture. So
Conserve the culture. Yes.
so
He didn't think so. What's disheartening to me, Lil Mama, is that you thought the worst part of being up there was that the media thought, oh, he just gave us some Chick-fil-A and milkshakes. No, the worst part was that you can be bought for Chick-fil-A and milkshakes. I need you to get your weight up. If you're going to be bought, if you're going to be sold, at least know your worth and add taxes. Like put some respect on your own name. But don't get bought and sold for some Chick-fil-A and milkshakes. Girl, bye. I can't with your cousins. I cannot. And y'all the educated ones, y'all the ones going to Spelman Morehouse, Morris Brown, and Clark Atlanta.
well, let me just go back to this whole notion of conservative and liberal and progressive and all of this terminology.
Right. These titles that mean nothing, but
that mean absolutely nothing. What do the policies show? What do the policy decisions show for the Republican Party as it relates to you as a community or you as Black college students? Because what I just saw in Tennessee was we're going to upend one of those institutions and we're going to replace the whole board because we're going to manipulate and do some different things. That's what I see. What was someone tried to get passed in Mississippi is we want to take those HBCUs away, that designation away. Like when you look at the policies, and I don't know what the policies, what they've done in Georgia, but I'm sure, the thing about some of them, Spelman, Morehouse, they private.
right.
The mother institutions that's not private, oh, they most definitely will be happily to write you off the books. And and we're gonna merge you with Georgia State. That's right there in downtown. Like your very existence is at risk. And you don't realize it. That's most disheartening. And I'm not saying that you can't have some disagreements and some debates and want to demand some different things of people in your politics, but be very clear about the agenda. Know what the agenda, that the whole agenda, and what are you getting out of it? And if it's only a milkshake and some Chick-fil-A, then you have a lot more growing to do.
Well, and I'll say this. Listen, few things. Again, Lene Vani did a great job of breaking it down. One of the things she talked about was, and these are young adults, and very often we talk about young adults as if they maybe lack the experience and the knowledge to make certain decisions. But then she also reminded us historically, let's look at organizations like SNCC. There were young adults who have always been integral to the movement. So
movement around the world, it's been led by the youth.
Young people. And so I cannot give you a pass for being young. At the end of the day, I liken it to an experience that I recently had. Rob and I went out for brunch. There was a young biracial, she appeared to be biracial girl, and she was with 3 other girls. 2 of them appeared to be white, 1 appeared to be perhaps Asian. And they were out in the parking lot and they were being teenagers, right? We didn't know if this was senior skip day or what, because it was a lot of them. But she was doing a lot. You know how when you see your kids sometimes and it's like, it felt like she was performing. Like just a lot of dancing, a lot of just wild movements and what have you. She was doing a lot. And I continued to look at her over and over again. And I said, wow, we have to know. We have to know when people are laughing with us versus when they're laughing at us. And I don't know who is the non-white parent in her life. I don't know what kind of conversations they have about being a biracial child in America. I don't know what other experience, especially growing up in this area where, again, I mean, at this point, I think Black people about 5% of Arizona. So, you know, you can imagine in certain cities, it's even less than that. I don't know what kind of conversations are being had, but I pray that soon and very soon, that young sister will learn the difference between when they're laughing at you and when they're laughing with you. And I'm not, by no means am I saying that this is a Republican Party thing versus a Democratic Party thing. Like you said, I don't even really like these labels because trust me, when it comes to my money, I'm real conservative about a lot of stuff. But at the same time, because I don't believe that anybody is one thing all the time. I just don't. And if they are, then they're very limited and closed-minded. So I don't even like all those labels. But when I saw that is what I got from this Chick-fil-A foolery. Know when you being laughed at versus being laughed with. Know when people are there to support you because they truly, truly believe in you, believe in your causes, know what, or when you're being used as a prop for some pictures. Because again, you upset that the media is disheartening that they talking about some Chick-fil-A milkshake. Yeah, girl, because they don't understand. Like you said, did you ask him a policy question at least?
Well,
or you just hugged and was so happy?
But here's the thing. So, you know, Leslie mentioned in the comments earlier about fame, celebrity, and what have you. You call the media there.
Right.
They call the media there. So the media asking questions, because that's what media is supposed to do. They supposed to challenge. Really, they're not just supposed to like cover and it's like, oh, it's all feel good. No, they're supposed to challenge what they're seeing and what you're saying. That's what their job is. And so you mad that the media is being the media? When the media was called there, it was also like, you know, again, we mentioned that name earlier, that Kardashian name. You know, early on in the game, they called the media to show up.
Yeah.
That's how everybody knew where you were all the time. If you don't tell people where you're going all the time, they ain't gonna be there. Yeah. And so in this same vein, you're disheartened by what the media is saying, because the media is asking questions. They doing their job.
Well, I don't even know that the media is asking questions. I think the media is reporting on what they saw, and what they saw was
reporting on what. Yeah, they're reporting on the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I say who, what, when, where, why, and how is that, like you said. But the $6,600 plated dinner at a hotel in Buckhead, you were not there.
Yeah, I don't think it was a hotel. I think it was at this dude's house, but wherever it was,
or at a residence.
You weren't invited to that. You were invited to Chick-fil-A because just like them sneakers, just like all of the Bible,
the suit, his suit that he took the mug shot in, selling pieces of the suit, cutting it up.
Oh, and remember the t-shirts, because all the blacks was wearing the t-shirts with his face on.
Yeah,
that's what he thinks of you.
Boom.
Okay, moving on.
Ooh, child. Eclipse. We going dark on y'all. Just Total eclipse. Before we get into this last one, I did want to just spend a minute to ask you about what do you think about this law in Arizona that has now been upheld by the Arizona Supreme Court that is taking women's health care back to 1862, it was? 1864. I still don't understand why women's health care is the only health care that's legislated in this country, but I'm gonna let that just be right there. But what do you think about it?
I think it's bullshit. And I'm gonna just say it like that. I do not understand how in 2024 we can go back to a law that existed before the state of Arizona was a state. Like when this was legitimately the wild, wild west, like before the Civil War. So before Black people even had before we were emancipated from enslavement. I don't understand how you dredge up some old stuff and now you think that it should be slathered everywhere and everybody should be subjected to it. Like, again,
medicine wasn't the same, technology wasn't the same, healthcare wasn't the same, nothing was the same. And the fact that, and it got me to thinking about what other draconian laws are on the books in the states in which we live that we probably, I used the analogy earlier today when we were in Sunday school about updating the operating system. We need to update the damn operating system on this whole thing. The Constitution, we need a whole new constitutional Congress to update the Constitution to fit our life today.
Right.
I mean, these laws that we are dredging up from the past, something could be in. It's just like, are you kidding me? It doesn't even fit science today.
It doesn't. And I'm dropping in here just one of the quotes from the article about the history of the ban. It says that, here, taken out of the 19th century context in which it was passed, the language was seen to amount to a near total ban on abortion. But let me read it here. But that's not how the law was originally enforced. Few people were prosecuted under the Arizona law or similar ones in other states. At the time, first trimester abortions were widespread and widely accepted in the public conscience. So I'm sitting here, I am back.
Look at those dates: 1864, 1901, and 1913.
We're not even in the 19s no more.
We are three decades into the 2020s, the 2020s, right. Not just the
2000s. Yeah,
we are 3 decades into the 2020s.
No, we're 3 decades into the 2000s. The first was 2000 to 2010, 2010 to 2020, and 2020.
Well, let me say this: it's 2024, so we dang near halfway through another decade.
Yeah, I will say this. So you made the point. Women's health is the only health that's being legislated and regulated. But right now in this country, maternal mortality for Black women is higher than any other group. We are dying at alarming rates just to have babies. No one is talking about how to make childbirth safer for Black women. No one is talking about how to lift children in this country out of poverty.
And let's say this. So you said for Black women. Guess what? For all women.
Women. Yes.
Since they like to do all. The United States has the highest maternal mortality rate
of a developed country
by a long shot, like 2 times more than the next country.
And here in Arizona, we do still have a large indigenous population, which again, when you look at You talking about serving people. This is a community that has been largely and traditionally underserved in all sorts of ways. And so I'm just like, I am tired. Like, I have this new sticker that I have on my computer, and it says racism is a public health crisis. We are in a public health crisis in medicine because racism exists in our medical healthcare system. It exists in many places, but it definitely exists in our medical and healthcare system. So when we're talking about abortion bans, near total abortion bans, when we're talking about laws that are meant to, as this one says, anyone who provides, supplies, or administers an abortion or abortion drugs will face a state prison sentence of 2 to 5 years unless the abortion is necessary to save the life of the person who is pregnant. And we know, and we've already heard, and we've already seen, there is nothing definitive about when that happens. Like, does the woman have to be septic before you save her life? Does she have to, and what other damage is going to be done? One thing is for certain that is driving me crazy, and maybe this is just on social media. Maybe it's not maybe it's understood differently in other areas. We have got to stop talking about abortion as if it is birth control. The vast majority of people out here getting abortions are not doing it because they just don't want to have a baby. And that narrative is sickening and it's offensive. Women who,
well, but the truth is, in some of these states, they're trying to outlaw birth control.
That's the slope that's the slippery slope that we're gonna slide down.
Yes.
And again, everybody who's on birth control ain't on it because they don't want to have a baby. Some people have very painful periods.
Yeah.
And if you a man and you don't know what it is to have a very painful period, where taking birth control may actually help alleviate some of your symptoms, then you should not be having that conversation.
Or even just because it's a hormone replacement thing. Like, people
Right.
are on hormone replacement, hormone management. Hormones are used to manage all sorts of symptoms. And the bottom line is this. And so, to the point you read, we already have a shortage of primary care physicians, internal medicine physicians. And because of the way insurance has been going, we already have a deficit of OBGYN physicians. You people are not going to practice. And we're going to lose more healthcare practitioners as well.
Right.
And that is because why would I take the risk and put my medical license and degrees and my family livelihood on the line because of some draconian laws? You know.
Well, and the last thing I'll say is, you and I have talked about the term miscarriage before, right? Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I guess people are okay with the term miscarriage, but they don't understand that it is, in the medical setting, it is a spontaneous abortion. Mm-hmm. It is your body deciding that it cannot carry this, because let's face it, until that beautiful baby comes out of this woman's body and it's cleaned up and wrapped up and you kissing it, it is a foreign object in a woman's body. And sometimes foreign objects, as you know, your body rejects them. That happens with organs. People get organ transplants, and sometimes the organs are rejected by your body. So these are things that happen. And I'm just so tired of this conversation as if everybody is having abortions because they out here just having sex all willy-nilly and don't want to have kids. Like, that is not what's happening. But if you really thought that's what was happening, if you really believe that, then I keep wondering, why aren't there requirements for men to have vasectomies? Because it would just be much simpler.
Why there are no requirements for men to have vasectomies? Why do we not have sexual education as a part of the curriculum? Why do we not have our bodies and health, our physical beings as a part of our science curriculum? If we really want to teach something, right? If we really want to educate, and it's not there deliberately, like many other things, and then we have, well, then why are you getting this and that? And there's so much that is not understood by the people who are making these laws. And then I have to look at the other rest of us, like those who showed up in Chick-fil-A. You are
Right.
woefully uninformed, and you have the same voting power as I have, and elections have consequences.
And last but not least, I'm just going to say this. If you really don't understand how menstruation works, if you really don't understand how pregnancy works, if you really don't understand these biological functions of a female's body, you should not be making laws about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at very least, you should have enough education on the subject to be able to speak about it. Like there was something like one of these shows, roving reporters, and asked this lady. No, it's not a show. It was an ad for a product she was selling. But she was asking men, "Can you wear a tampon and use the bathroom, like and urinate?" And most of the men were like, no, you can't. No, you can't. And it's like, it is like, and these are people who are making decisions.
You see how I'm falling now.
I mean, because they like it's probably gonna fall out. No, that ain't even the same areas, but you know,
they got more than one. They got 3 holes for women.
And not only are they making decisions, like you said, they have the same voting power that you do.
Yes. All right. I know we're a little over time, but we have one more thing. Listen, y'all better get out here and vote like your lives depended on it, because it's due, especially as it relates to these topics around our health care. But one more topic. I'm not going to be long on it because, but since everybody else has talked about it, we have not talked about Cowboy Carter. Everybody else has talked about it. I mean, you would think that it was like the war in Ukraine or something, the way the news covered it. I was like, really, y'all covering this like it's a major news story. So that goes to this whole celebrity obsessed culture that we have. But what you think, girl?
I want you to go first because I actually have a lot of thoughts, and I want to.
Oh, we ain't got a lot of time.
Okay. So here are my thoughts. Number one, I don't think it's a country album. You mentioned that Beyonce said it's not a country album; it's a Beyonce album. In that regard, I absolutely have to agree.
Said Cowboy Carter. Good night. Bye, Jody. Why are you leaving us so soon? Don't do that, girl.
Don't do that, Miss Joy. No, I definitely.
If the beehive come after her, shoot, they ain't coming after.
If she said that, I absolutely agree with her. I listened to it. You asked me to listen to it, and I don't think it is a country album. I think it has country inspiration, obviously. But I think one of the songs is about music genres, and I think this speaks to it. Listen, we are the creators of all genres of music. I don't care how they put it. You could tweak it, you could turn it, you could give it a different name. We are the creators of all genres of music, and thus we can do all of them. So I don't think you have to put a specific label on anything. But right now, it is the highest grossing, I guess, country album in life. And obviously, Beyonce is the biggest Black female country artist ever in life. That being said, you asked me the question, am I still upset about the breakup of Destiny's Child?
Yeah, so y'all don't know. See, me and my sister had this pre-show conversation last night. So yes, I think my sister's still upset about the breakup of Destiny's Child. That's why she still struggles with
The original Destiny's Child, not the remake of Destiny's
The original Destiny's Child. Yes.
And I will say, so I thought about it and I was like, no, I'm not, it's not about that. Because if they're not upset, I can't be upset. It's not about that. But what I will say is what I know from this album that Beyonce is still upset about is her father breaking up her family. And there's still a lot of hurt, and it sounds like some healing that still has to take place there. And it just made me question how all those things, like we always talking about things being in God's plan. And it made me question, like, if she had, because this Beyonce, right? This version of Beyonce would not be the Beyonce she is, in my opinion, unless she breaks away from Matthew Knowles. And she doesn't really feel empowered to break away from Matthew Knowles until after what happens with her parents, his marriage dissolving, he obviously having an outside child and all of those things. And so we don't get this Beyonce unless that thing happens. And so it's a question of the trade-off. Is it worth it? Like, was it worth it? Yes, he broke up his family, but now she's a mega superstar. I've come to terms with she is the Michael Jackson of this generation. Even for some of us in the other generations, she the Michael Jackson for some of us. As an album, personally, it wasn't anything that said, oh my gosh. Like I really wanted it to hit me in a way that made me be like, yes, sis, you did it. You knocked it out the ballpark. It didn't. It is a Beyonce album, and I respect it for being a Beyonce album. I will say, Jolene, you asked me to listen to her version as well as the original. I will say the difference is Dolly was pleading for this woman not to take her man, even though her man was already gone, if he hollering about this woman's name in your presence. Beyonce is basically saying, don't try to mess with my man. You know, in the words of Nivea, if you mess with my man, I'm going to be the one to bring it to you. That is what her version of Jolene is. And I found it interesting because if I'm honest, I was kind of like, oh, but sis, isn't that what happens all the time? Aren't we now blaming the other woman? Aren't we angry at the woman instead of the man? Like, aren't we still blaming her and being like, don't try me, don't test me because you don't want this smoke? Isn't that one of those stereotypes that I don't want us to play up? So
yeah, I don't disagree with any of that you said. I think I think a few years ago we were talking about her artistry, and hoping that artistry evolves, right?
By our definition. Let me just say by our definition.
Right. And I do think it in some respects there has been evolution. I think in other respects there's not evolution because the themes are the same.
They feel very similar.
The themes are very similar from even Destiny's Child era, some of the themes about, you do this to my man and it's like, and nobody's looking at your man like that. Like, it's like, and if somebody is looking at
your do that to her man.
Well, not just her specifically.
I know, I'm playing.
And if anybody is, if they even have a shot or a chance, which they obviously have had, then you still there. And you still there. So like, let's stop promoting that nonsense. Talk about the journey of the healing and the health and the why you choose to stay together.
Well, listen, I ain't gonna tell nobody. I ain't gonna tell nobody what to talk about because at the end of the day, she got more money than I do, and obviously she has.
I think that's an instructive story because she has such a large following.
Absolutely.
I think it is an instructive story for people that, because it's not about don't come because I'm gonna get you if you come from a man. It's like, no, my man already did this and I stayed with him, and this is how I got over and got through, and how we work together as a family and how we heal. That's a story that is less talked about and told, that I think a lot of people could benefit from.
I agree, but I think as the now where I'm gonna give sis a lot of credit as the marketing guru that she is.
Oh,
her team is, they like, look, we know our target audience, we know what they want to talk about, we know what they want to hear. And so, yes, that's why we hear a lot of those themes. I think the challenge is, as you brought up, one of the themes that I've heard about is, you know, she fine, and she is fine. Girl, you fine. You cute. You real cute. And you definitely can dance and you can sing. I'll give you props for all of those things. But fineness and cuteness don't keep nobody at home. It never has. Because if that person wants to step out and do their thing, they're going to step out and do their thing. And you can be, and as it's been said, Halle Berry, Beyonce, there's any number of other very attractive women have found themselves cheated on. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I'm like, I really wish kind of like we could stop talking about your booty. Yeah, it's fabulous. But anyway, so, you know, kudos to everybody who riding with Beyonce on the 16 carriages. And
my favorite is a song with Miley Cyrus, actually.
Yeah, I like that one too.
That one, and then the Blackbird. I think those are the two that I do like the best. So, I mean, and I will say this: there's some songs that I like. Yeah. I haven't heard a complete album from any artist in a very long time. Like, I'm still waiting for the magic of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, where you put it on and you can play it from beginning to end nonstop, and every song you listen to and know, and every kind of bleed in, bleed out, that it has resonance.
I just want the storytelling to be consistent. I'm sorry, y'all, because we read the lyrics for Renaissance as well as Cowboy Carter. And I have to say, even when I think about to the left, everything you own in the box to the left, that was a complete story. Mm-hmm. These newer songs, I'd be like, wait, what? We were just talking about bucking just now, and now we talking about sweet and honey, and then we talking about a horse, and the horse is a person, right? I am challenged, and I'm like, is it me? Maybe I just am not evolved enough, because the storytelling it's gotten a little choppy for me.
Well, this is going to be the total, because we talked about it. It's a total eclipse on this subject. We will not talk about it no more. It's done. We going dark.
Congratulations, sis. Let's say that. Congratulations, sis, on breaking records and exposing the fact that there are a plethora of other Black country artists.
And I give her kudos and props for platforming people.
Yes,
absolutely, and giving them their flowers and as well as checks.
Yep.
So with that, we signing off. We thank y'all for tuning into Hey Sister this evening.
Sticking with us a little longer.
We hope that you tune in next Sunday as well. And with that, peace.